Hello there, this is James, and you're watching OneRoyal. It's live. In today's program, French President Macron hosts a group therapy session. Trump wants his precious, and OPEC is thinking of turning off the tap. But before we get into all of that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out the way, let's get started. So yeah, I want to start off talking a little bit about the EU Emergency Defense Summit, which French President Macron has organized today. Okay. Now, this summit or this meeting is really down to the fact that there's a big concern about Europe and Ukraine even not being invited to potential peace talks between the US and Russia over the Ukraine conflict. However, this summit is not being attended by every EU country, only those with particular military prowess. Now, this includes the likes of the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, and Denmark. Now, the topic of this summit, of course, is obviously going to be a little bit about, what J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, said last week at the Munich conference, but how to try and insist on the United States that they are extremely important and should be involved in these peace talks. But obviously, they're going to be talking about defense spending, okay, increasing their defense spending, because quite a few members are a little bit behind on the certain percentage of GDP they have to put in to their defense spending to be a part of NATO. And a lot of countries, due to economic current situations, are struggling to do that. So, they're going to be talking about defense spending, as well as that, potential boots on the ground. Now, as in a peacekeeping force, I'm talking about. It's a peacekeeping force. Now, UK Prime Minister Starmer has said UK is ready and willing to put troops on the ground as defense, as peacekeepers, if indeed they can find a peace agreement. As well as that, foreign policy head, or the head of the foreign policy in Germany, of the German CDU party. Okay, now this party, just on a separate subject, we got the German elections this month, which is going to be a pretty big deal as well. Now, he's said they will be willing to commit troops as a peacekeeping force in the Ukraine as well. So there you have, say, like Germany and the UK willing to do this. The other people obviously attending this meeting may not be so keen. For example, Italy, when asked, 50% of the people in the survey, they don't want to send more weapons to Ukraine, let alone the idea of sending troops to Ukraine. So it's going to be a little bit of a peculiar one, because you've got some there willing to sort of move forward with it. Others, of course, not willing to move forward with it. So anyway, but the benefactor, or the main benefactor of all this going on at the moment, is obviously defense company stocks. Okay, and we can have a look. I'm going to look at a couple of things now. For example, this is the stocks, Euro Stocks 50 index. Okay, and as you can see, indeed, it's doing extremely well. Actually, all European stocks are doing quite well today. I'm not saying purely just because of the defense sector doing very well, but there is still a little bit of relief rally with the chance that we could indeed find a peace deal with Ukraine and Russia. But if I want to show you something else, which is a bit more interesting as well, actually, so we can see the state of this, and I want to show you this heat map here. So let's have a look if I can do it now to stage. Now, 1 second, let me just show you this, because I want to show you this. as well, because this I find quite interesting. Okay, now Eurostocks is like 50 of the biggest European companies. Okay, now if we have a look here, this is today. This is on a daily. I'm bringing it up on my chart on my screen. Okay, now if we have a look, these are some of the big defense companies in Europe. Okay, so for example, we've got BAE Systems. They're up 7.45% today. Okay, and then if we look at, say, Rolls-Royce, okay, not so much. They make engines and cars as well, don't they? So they're up slightly. But the big players are like some of the big companies, like these guys. They do electronic systems and aeronautics and defense sectors. They're up 7.2% today on the back of these defense issues here. What else we got here? We got this one here. Yeah, again, defense and aerospace. They're up 6.86% today. And this is just European defense companies. You know, the US, obviously, you have the likes of Boeing and other companies in the US, which aren't trading today. And there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you a bit about that in a minute. But you can have a look at some of the big ones. I mean, this one here, again, this is up 10.4%. Again, they specialize in security systems. So you can see that there is a number of these companies. Okay, I mean, Airbus there's one more. Airbus, okay, not so much, 1.67%. But some of these big companies, their share price is deed up with the idea that in this summit, there may be commitment to spend more money on defense. So anyway, let's carry on with the other story as well. Now, peace talks, of course, is all about the peace talks. This is starting, of course, in KSA sometime this week. Apparently, there has already been agreed of who the Trump administration is sending over to do these talks. We don't know who the Russian contingent is going to be yet. But yeah, that's going to be part of the talks. But this is an interesting thing as well in relation to this story, because Trump wants his precious. Now, apparently, officially, it's been announced that Trump's pitch to Ukraine, you know, to help with the peace talks or to help in peace, is the US wants to own 50% of its rare earth minerals. Okay. These are very expensive minerals, very valuable minerals. They're used in technology and things like this. This is why he wants to get it, but he wants 50% of their rare earth minerals in exchange for this. In exchange for that, in helping with the peace talks, he wants this in exchange of all the billions of dollars in weapons the US has already provided Kyiv. So if get 50%, he's going to write off the money he's already given them for weapons. As well as that part of the deal, okay, he has said part of the deal, for 50%, he will also deploy American troops to help guard them, again, part of the peacekeeping force. So this is part, I think, again, the art of negotiation, I guess, in some ways. But this is what he's after. He wants 50% of these minerals, which, like I say, can be used for technology, extremely valuable, in exchange for writing off the billion-dollar debt they've got for weapons they've been provided and for providing boots on the ground as well. Now, moving on to another story I want to talk about. Okay, as we know, obviously, recent hope that this war will come to an end. Oil prices have suffered. However, to steady these prices, OPEC has dropped hints that they may consider pushing back their monthly supply increases, which was due to start in April. So they have sort of dropped hints they may not do it in April like they had said. So this is why it's obviously balancing oil prices. But anyway, let's have a quick look at some of the things happening in the market, oil in particular. And we'll start going on to some other stuff as well. Other things I want to talk about today. So let's pull this up. So let's have a quick look at oil, see where oil is. There we go. So like I say, here we go. So yeah, oil, as you can see, This is on a daily. He's been under pressure, certainly over the last couple of days since these peace talks. But this OPEC threat has managed to balance it. It's currently trading still around about $70.94. I mean, way off the highs it was trading, back in January. So it's come under a fair bit of pressure. But for now, OPEC's little threat of cutting off or not, not increasing the supply come April is giving it a bit of a cushion. So on other things, like I said, today, you're not going to see the US market because it's closed. It's closed due to President's Day. And as well as that, what we're seeing because of this, I've talked about it before, we are seeing a bit of relief rally. I'll bring up some currency pairs in a minute. And we're seeing currently really a weaker US dollar. So let's have a look at currencies in a minute. As well as that, other thing to bear in mind, okay, coming up this month, which is going to be important, especially for the euro, okay, is obviously we've got German elections later this month. This is supposed to be pretty dramatic, potentially. So we need to keep an eye out for that. Other things before we go back to the charts. S&P, again, it's not trading today. President's Day. Everybody's having a day off. Good for them. So anyway, but it did close on Friday. Again, because it's like a relief rally, because people are optimistic. But indeed, we're going to see, an end to the Ukraine conflict. It is indeed trading around an all-time high. I mean, usually the S&P bull run has been boosted by the Magnificent Seven. But as I spoke about on Thursday, the last live I did, the only member of the Mag 7 really shining bright at the moment, of course, is Meta, which is up around about 25% year to date. So it's not the Mag 7. This is other companies boosting it for a change. Even though things are optimistic, like I said, we've got S&P all-time high. We have a relief rally with the euro doing all right. We're looking in a minute. Cable holding strong and the dollar weakness. The market's still not 100% convinced. The market's not ready to get out its bunting yet and to celebrate. Okay, because you can see gold is steadying around $2,900, indicating that the market still has concerns about what the future may hold. Okay, it's off the all-time highs, around the $2,949 mark, but it's still holding steady around 2,900. That'd be interesting to look at. Let's have a quick look at some of the charts quickly. Excuse me. So let's start off indeed with the euro. Again, this is a daily. I always like to look at the long-term picture. We've had we've had 5 days of gains. It looked like at the beginning of the session, okay, it was going to have 6 days or 6th day of gains. However, it's holding steady around 1.0481. Again, because the US is quiet, not open as well, is a bit flat. If you look at the cable, the British pound, US dollar, again, holding its own as well, again, down to a weaker US dollar as well. Currently trading at just around over the 125 mark, just up below the 126, where in fact it did hit 126 on the last trading session on Friday. Again, that's also boosted, obviously by a slightly better GDP reading we had last week, where it's supposed to come in at negative 0.1%, but it came in fact plus 0.1%. And finally, of course, we're going to have to look at gold. Those who know me know I'm a gold bug. Know I love gold, and I'm always going to talk about it. Like I say, we had a slight drop on Friday, but now stayed again just around the 2,900 mark. Again, that looks like a real good potential uptrend. Question for everybody. Do you think it'll go to $3,000? There you go. Let me know your opinion. Anywho, other things happening this week. It's not just about therapy sessions. It's not about Trump wanting his precious, and it's not about OPEC threatening to limit supply again. There is other things occurring this week as well, of course. You have, of course, on Tuesday, RBA, Royal Bank of Australia, interest rate decision. They're expected to cut it to 4.10. Tuesday, never a dull moment. Trump is set to speak. Be interesting to see what he has to say about tariffs. That would be fascinating. So Tuesday, we need to be prepared for that. Wednesday, we have UK CPI, expectation for it to come in higher, 2.8%. Like I said last week, in the last live last week I did, There's that little bit of concern. We might have that inflation crisis again on our hands, just worrying. The main real economic event next week, this week happening, is, of course, the Wednesday's FOMC minutes. And everybody be going through that with a fine-tooth comb to try and find out what the Fed's next move may be. Thursday, we have US initial claims. And, of course, Friday, we have S&P Global Services PMI. So those are the other events happening today. Now, don't forget, of course, this is a live show. And live means live. So you can chat to me anytime you want. If you're watching me on YouTube, you're watching me on Twitter, or whatever, Twitter. I'm showing my age. X, now it's called, I think. It's called X, isn't it? You can chat to me, ask me questions anytime you wish. Or, share with me your opinions. Let me know what you think. Do you think gold's going to 3,000? What do you think about this emergency security summit, which is happening in Paris today? What do you think about Trump's demand for precious earth minerals? So let me know your opinion. Where do you see the euro? So that's the whole point. We're building a community. I mean, if you're not watching it live, by all means, you can leave your comments below. Let me know your opinion, or maybe questions you may want me to ask, which I, of course, answer next time I'm going live. Anyway, if you're watching me on YouTube, subscribe if you like, hit the notification button so next time I'm going live. I go live at least once a day. So, feel free to do that. And give me one of these. If you like what I do, it's nice to know that you like what I do. Anyway, till next time, remember, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever ever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.